welcome to an AFTV podcast special. I'm your host Giles, and on today's show we are talking about that banner. Everybody saw the banner being displayed after the win at the Hawthorns last Saturday against West Bromwich Albion. It's gone viral, it's gone all over the media around the world. I think it's had its desired effect in terms of raising even more awareness about the, how people's feelings towards Wenger and his tenure. So at this point in his tenure, but we're going to discuss with one of the guys who are involved with the banner and find out why they did it and what's going on from there. We've got Simon Wesson. Good evening, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Open.
Good stuff. And also, so he'll be arguing for the banner, and arguing against the banner we've got our regular stalwart Moh Haider. How are you doing, Mo?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you very much. Looking forward to this chat.
Good stuff. All right, we'll start with the first topic. Really, Simon, tell us how it came about, and why the guys decided to display it on Saturday after the win.
It's not a new thing. I mean, this banner's been around for a while. It's been travelling up and down the country, across Europe. I mean, anyone who's in Brussels would have seen it outside the main pubs we were drinking in Brussels. So I think it's just organised. Basically, it's the first time we've decided to actually get a bit more organised and try and get it sort of prominent in the game, essentially. And it's just, I suppose, it's accumulation of a bad start to season yet again. Not for the first time, as everyone knows. And I think it's reached a sort of stage where it's getting the joke now. So I think it's just trying to sort of raise a bit of I don't know about raising awareness. It's just trying to actually make people aware probably try and make the club aware that there's a lot of fans who actually feel like this. Although I think there's only a small few of us who are like sort of at the moment it almost feels like brave enough to do this. But yeah, the guys did it, and that was it basically.
Okay, and in terms of the responses you've got, what kind of responses have you guys got from the banner?
Mixed. at home it was pretty atrocious. The thing is, I mean, I think that from what I wasn't actually at the game myself, the Hawthorns the other day, I'm actually stopping myself from going to away games at the moment purely because I've been travelling up and down the country across Europe for the last 10 years, and I said to everyone I'd let it be my last game away from home for a long time. It's killing me, but I'm sticking to it at the moment. I'm trying to save the house and God knows what else. So
Simon, does Arsene Wenger factor in that decision not to go to away games?
Yeah, massively.
In what way?
For me, to be honest, he's probably the main factor, actually. I just think he's reached the end of his tenure. I think, to be honest, as far as I was concerned, I thought he should have left after the League Cup loss against Birmingham. I thought that was pretty much the time for him to go. I thought, ever since then, we've got to that stage, and I kind of thought, well, I can't see him winning another trophy. He proved me wrong with the FA Cup. Great, that's wonderful. I thought things might get better over the summer, and while everyone was going mad on Twitter, going absolute bananas, thinking we'd sign all these amazing players, there was quite a strong allegiance of us thinking these players aren't anywhere near up to standards, and he still wasn't addressing the same old issues: centre backs, defensive midfielders. They're spending money on players we don't necessarily need. I mean, I'm not denying Sanchez is an absolute fantastic player, an absolute sort of brilliant signing, but any Arsenal fan will tell you it wasn't exactly what we needed. If anything, it's just giving me an extra headache. Walcott and Chamberlain, they get fit in the same team with Sanchez. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to moan about Sanchez signing for Arsenal, but spending 35 million, what about Ozil the year before? It's just like everyone knows we've been lacking a big centre midfielder to stop attacks coming through. To be honest, as Blake pointed out to me last night, would it even make that much difference the way we play tactically? What kind of player? You have to be some sort of unbelievable defensive midfielder to actually be able to prevent the sort of goals we're letting in at the moment with the wing backs piling forwards. So yeah, basically, I just think Wenger's kind of reached the end of his time. I don't think that's necessarily such a bad thing. I don't know what the big drama is, to be honest. I don't understand why people get so hit up about backing him so much. Like last night, there was a few people handing out posters, including myself. And the treatment we received was just, it's beyond unbelievable, to be honest. It was just shocking at times.
Can you give us examples? Can you detail for the listeners kind of what sort of treatment you received?
Without swearing, I was told to go be a Tottenham fan quite a few times. Advised not to come to Arsenal ever again. Threatened, abused. People ripping stuff up in front of us, which is fine, I expect that kind of reaction. And at the end of the day, I can see where they're coming from. I can see that it's not necessarily the Arsenal way. I'm an old school Arsenal fan. I love Arsenal. I live and breathe the club. Always have done, always will do. And I see, I can understand this whole thing of us doing things a traditional way and being a class club, and it's not the kind of way you see Arsenal fans reacting. But, it's got to that stage now where people have had enough. People like myself just absolutely had enough. I was at the Bradford game a few years back, and I mean, that was pretty heartbreaking to watch, really, because fans were throwing their scarves onto the pitch. And believe it or not, I mean, the Block 6 section at the Emirates, that has completely, been destroyed. That was the hardcore of hardcore fans. And the majority of those fans are no longer, they've given up their season tickets. They can't take it anymore. And because this is what they get, this kind of abuse they get week in, week out, like I got last night. If you dare to raise your voice, look at the She War page on Facebook, the amount of abuse they get week in, week out. I mean, they just keep on piling the message through what they believe, but, you can't really say it in the stadium because you just get absolute abuse, and it's just, how many times every Arsenal fan who goes away from home has seen it kick off between our own fans. It's embarrassing. But Brighton away, for example. Time and time again.
And the one in Brussels as well, apparently there was a bit of a...
I think that might have been in the pubs, I don't know. I didn't see anything during the game, but I mean, I think the real hardcore Arsenal fans, the away boys, I think a lot of them actually, I think that's the funny thing, I think there's more of a majority against Wenger who go away, which I think is quite ironic. I think there's probably a 70-30 split of people go away from home who want Wenger out, and I'd probably say it's almost that exact swap at home, or at least, I don't know, a lot of the old school people I know want him out, but they wouldn't go to the extremes of sort of certainly not holding up a banner at the home stadium, because I can understand what they're saying it's not the Arsenal way and that sort of stuff, and I suppose you could argue it doesn't look classy, but it's got to the stage now where what do? Do you fly a plane over the stadium? Like Man United fans? I don't know. You can't even do that at the Emirates, by the way.
How would you respond to that, Mo? Because you're Block 7, aren't you? I mean...
I'm Block 8. I'm Block 8.
You're Block...
sorry.
Alright, I'm Block 7. The one thing I want to mention to you is just I sense a little bit of inconsistency in your comment about Sanchez and the effect that it has on Walcott and Chamberlain, because you're basically saying we didn't need Sanchez because it's kind of given us a headache in terms of what's going to happen to Walcott and Chamberlain. But if I was to ask you, I'm sure you'd respond that Sanchez is better than Walcott and Chamberlain.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. That's not wrong at all. I'm saying if I had the £35 million in my pocket, and I was asked, who are you going to buy this summer? And don't get me wrong, Alexis Sanchez has been absolutely superb at Arsenal, and I wouldn't. I mean, look at the work effort and everything he puts in is fantastic. But if I've got that £35 million in my pocket, minimum, because he did have more as well, which he hasn't spent, who would you buy? Would you buy Alexis Sanchez, or would you buy Javi Martinez, or would you buy Xabi Alonso for £7 million?
For me, my problem is not the fact that we signed Sanchez, it's the fact that we didn't use the additional funds that you're talking about to then strengthen the CDM.
Exactly.
When I talk about the inconsistency, is that you're almost saying that Walcott and Chamberlain is going to have an effect on them, but we've got someone better. So what is it, out of loyalty that you say that it's going to have an effect on Chamberlain and Walcott? And if it is out of loyalty, then where's the loyalty for Arsene? Because you're calling for Arsene to be replaced, but then why shouldn't Walcott and Chamberlain be replaced for someone better? Ultimately, that's what you want when it comes to the manager. You want him to be replaced for someone better.
You want competition all over the pitch. I'm not saying I didn't want him to sign Alexis Sanchez. I think you're sort of punching down the wrong line there, because I mean, I'd love him to sign Alexis Sanchez, but I'm agreeing with you in the sense that where's the additional funding gone? I want to know where that money's gone. Why has it been spent?
Fair enough. So in that case,
I'm saying at the moment, that £35 million, I'd rather it been spent elsewhere in the club. I would love Arsenal to be able to go, yeah, we'll go buy Alexis Sanchez, we'll make Walcott and Chamberlain challenge their places. If they're not going to be automatic choices, that would be fantastic. I mean, we would have loved that for the last how many years, but that hasn't been happening, so there's been no consistency in that front. Fabregas there was no real immediate replacement. Vieira, I mean, you could go on. You don't really replace Vieira, as I know, but it's, it's just sloppy. It's kind of sloppiness in a way. You can't leave a club with 6 defenders. You just can't leave a club with 6 defenders. It's not a club at our stature as well. Well, meant to be of our stature. How often do we become a joke club? I mean, we go into work next day after, embarrassing results and get stick. I work in Luton. I get stick off Luton Town fans. I mean,
I work in Dunstable and sit opposite a Luton Town fan, and I feel your pain there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, all right. So ultimately, the whole talk about the manager comes down to the fact that we want to go and win every single game that we play, which is completely understandable. It's what every Arsenal fan wants. For me, and I guess the crux of this discussion will come down to the fact that I personally believe that right now, today, or on that day against West Brom, if Arsene Wenger was to leave right now, we are going to be less likely to go and enjoy all of these victories that we crave. But it seems as though the banner suggests that his time is up. You want him out right now. And I just feel that's counterproductive to us enjoying what we want to enjoy in terms of victories and trophies.
I think sometimes you have to take a few steps backwards, take a few steps forwards. I don't think it's not all about winning every single game. It'd just be nice to have our club back, really. At the moment, the club's being run like a dictatorship. You've got a manager who's important to his boss, Gazidis. He was part of the panel who chose it's just a complete dictatorship. It'd be nice to actually just have to me, at the moment, Wenger's defence of saying we're successful is finishing in Champions League every year. We're not going to win the Champions League. It's not going to happen. Everyone knows it.
So let me ask you this, Simon. I don't know what you do in your job, but if you could tell your manager what represents success for you in your role, for you to get your bonus and get a big pay packet, wouldn't that be the ideal situation for you? If your manager's saying, I expect this, this and this, you can tell him, I'm going to deliver this. And if your manager's going to say, okay, would that not be an ideal situation for you?
Yeah, it'd be ideal if I could appoint my manager as well.
Yeah, so whose fault is that? Because to me, I don't see how that's Arsene Wenger's fault. He's come in an organisation, and that organisation hasn't got the correct levels of management structure, that correct level of hierarchy, in order to manage the manager. Instead, the manager is managing the executives. But I would not say that's Arsene Wenger's fault, because I know for myself, if I could have that sort of ability at work to call the shots, I wouldn't turn it down. So my question to you is then, aren't your complaints misplaced? Shouldn't it be the board? Shouldn't it be the chairman? Shouldn't it be the CEO? Shouldn't it be the owner that you're saying hold the manager accountable instead of saying Arsene Wenger, get out?
That is it. It's not aimed at Wenger as such.
But
it's aimed
the banner was,
because Wenger's not got the dignity to the banner was, I mean, of course it's because Wenger's not going to walk.
Point.
Everyone knows Wenger's not going to walk. I mean, how many opportunities? He lost 8-2 to, there will be more banners as well. There'll be more, obviously you got to get the wording right and stuff. That was one banner. There's going to be more and more piling up over time.
But then, Simon, I guess we'll have a conversation about each banner when it comes out. But the banner that we're discussing today, based on what you've said and what we've just spoken about in terms of the management structure and the hierarchy that doesn't exist in the club, that's not Arsene Wenger's fault. So why was a banner directed at Wenger? Because if that banner was directed at the board to say even something as simple as, just the word change, we want change, I'd be supporting you with that because I want change. I think a vast majority of Arsenal fans do want change, but it seems as though that banner was misplaced when you're directing it at Arsene Wenger for stuff that he shouldn't really be in control of.
I would say,
go on, Simon.
Wenger should have the dignity to walk. That's what I think. I think everyone in my position, with the Wenger out thing, I think everyone thinks he should have the dignity to walk. I don't know how many more embarrassments or how many awful displays it pretty much started from the 5 one up at White Hart Lane in the Carling Cup all them years back, which I was there for as well. Well, to be honest, I've been there for everything. 8-2 at Old Trafford. You know, I mean, how many opportunities is it? I mean, how many other managers?
So the point that the Wenger out guys are saying is that he's taken us as far as he can. In fact, you think that we're pretty much regressing. We've regressed.
Yeah, I mean, there's no sign of progression, is there? I mean, the FA Cup should look at the enthusiasm and incredible over that weekend. I mean, that was one of the best weekends of my life. How you don't build on that is beyond me, and I think that's what's actually pushing me away at the moment.
And Mo, you have to admit there is a point to their argument. If you look at, we all thought that this summer would have been, the summer that we kicked on. Okay, we brought in Sanchez, we've replaced with better what we had before, what we let go, but we haven't. Even you've argued that we haven't, added in the key areas, and the performances this season have been stunted. They've stuttered. They've not really clicked into gear or anything. We're pretty, about a month ago, 2 weeks ago, Wenger said that we're out of the championship race already.
Yeah.
In November.
Listen,
so there is a point to their argument.
Yeah, absolutely no disputing that. Things need to change. We haven't used our resources effectively. That's the one line I bang on about non-stop. But that is not down to Arsene Wenger.
But if
in isolation, there's much more to it than just saying Arsene Wenger out and our problems are going to be solved. If Arsene Wenger was to look at that banner and hand in his notice instantly, who are we going to get, and is it going to be any different? I don't think so.
But we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
I mean, if you look at Chelsea's example, they got rid of Rafa Benitez. They were having a stinking time of it, but yet still, even though the fans hated him, didn't want him there, he still managed to get them. Did he win a cup or something? Or at least he got them. Yeah. He did pretty well for them. They never gave him any gratitude. No thanks. So
he
to
won
say
the
that
UEFA Cup, whatever it's called.
That's right. So there's this kind of fear, this fear that people instill that if we get rid of him now, it's going to be a disaster. We don't know that.
Yeah,
but equally though, Simon, are you sure? I mean, do we really want to? I mean, we can't afford to drop out of the Champions League. I mean, although we don't win.
Well, why not?
Because money-wise,
because our business model,
25 million a year is not being spent.
But it's not going to be 25 million a year next year. Yeah. It's going to be closer to about 45.
Exactly.
Our business model absolutely depends on the Champions League, and in the whole project that Arsene Wenger has tried to execute at our club, we are 95% of the way there. I personally think we could have been spending a little bit more, and we could have been a bit more brave in our investment in the playing squad in recent seasons. I'd say from before last season, that's when I really started calling for it, because looking at the books every single year, I knew that there is money to be spent. When I say I know, that's not hearsay, that's the financial statements that the club actually releases. These are audited documents. There's no kind of guessing about that. So I agree that more money should have been spent, without a doubt. But just how you're saying, Giles, that we don't know it's going to be any worse if someone comes in. We also don't know it's going to be any better if someone comes in. And I personally think, after coming this far, we need to ensure that we consolidate that Champions League place, where next year the television money that obviously filters down back to the clubs goes up by 125%. Currently, £133 million a season goes to UEFA from British TV companies. That's going to go up to £300 million a year. There's going to be a hell of a lot more money coming in. I personally believe when that happens, we're at 95% right now. As soon as we secure that Champions League spot, that's project complete. Obviously, we have to keep on delivering that Champions League, but then we have the funds to really compete with financial fair play as well. Because you see Chelsea and City and PSG and all of these clubs coming up with really creative ways to make sure they're financial fair play compliant. And I'm not a fan of financial fair play in terms of what it originally said it would do compared to what it's doing, but it goes half of the way to try and levelling out the playing field, and I think it requires a tiny bit more patience on our part. Simon, you say that we haven't pushed on from last year, but we haven't lost the FA Cup. What if we get the FA Cup, get the quarterfinals of the Champions League, finish third? That means we have pushed on. Not as much as I want, but we have pushed on. And what I would say...
We're a long way off that, and I I
There's nothing to say
don't
we
trust
can't
Wenger
win
with
the
that
FA
money.
Cup again.
I don't trust Wenger with that money. Have you on the pitch? No, I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about spending on players. I'm talking day-to-day management and what you see on the pitch. No, I don't think Arsene Wenger's good enough at Arsenal anymore. I think he's past his best. By
I personally don't think tactics.
By a long way. Substitutions,
I don't think
tactics. The game
I
we're
don't
playing at
think
the
that
moment,
is
we're
a
so easy to
temporary
read.
ability.
How many games have we won against the top four? In the last, it's what, something like 4 out of 48, isn't it now, or 64 out of 64?
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
fully agree that our record
pathetic.
against the top four is shocking. It is pathetic. But let's not forget that Arsene Wenger, he also masterminded brilliant victories in the first 500 years of his tenure at the club against big teams. My point is, tactical awareness, tactical ability isn't something that comes and goes like football form, like Aaron Ramsey's experiencing right now. Tactical awareness, you either have it or you don't. He does
but the game
have
evolves.
it. It's a personnel issue. He doesn't have the personnel. Part of that is his fault. I completely accept that. He's not free of blame. He deserves a bit of criticism. But once we complete that 100% of that project that he's building, I don't see any excuses. He has strengthened the squad. He has got brilliant players in like Ozil and Sanchez. He hasn't done enough. I accept that. But that's where the levels of hierarchy need to come in to actually put some pressure on the bloke and say to him, you're not just going to get 8 million a year. You're going to get performance related. You're going to get bonuses for delivering trophies. You're going to do what we need to do. For me, it comes back to the ambition that filters down from the very, very top in the form of the owner. Because the owner is not interested in spending money to win Champions Leagues. The owner's interested in saying, okay, you know, I've got a good earning profile at this club. We'll just maintain that. Arsene Wenger is returning what he needs to do to keep the owner happy. He's keeping his manager happy. Let's put it like that. That's what I do at work. That's what everyone aims to do at work. When your manager starts asking you for more, then you have to start delivering more. And that's the sort of levels we need to integrate into our club in the form of David Dean. Someone like that. That is what we need. Someone to challenge him and ask for more.
Simon, go on.
Yeah. Right. Okay. This stuff about being not affording enough money, that's been fine for the last few years. But he's just spanked 42 million on Mesut Ozil, followed by 35 Sanchez, and it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible to be able to spend that amount of money. That's like for Arsenal fans for the last few years. That's been beyond the wildest dreams, as you've been able to see. It's the on the game during the match. He like you say, you can't switch on. It doesn't go. Match form doesn't go. But Wenger's slowly, gradually been digressing year after year after year. Teams have worked us out. Everyone knows how to play against Arsenal. Absolutely every single team knows how to beat Arsenal. It doesn't always happen. But every team comes with a match plan and they can put it off. And it is just so readable. Everyone can see it in the ground. I mean, look at last night when Chamberlain got subbed. Everyone was booing. I mean, it's because they just know what is happening. They can see it time and time again. Poor substitutions, poor tactical decisions. He's just not with it, and he hasn't got the ability anymore to be able to pull off their massive results like we used to be able to.
What happened? What happened after Chamberlain went off?
Oh yeah, I mean, last night it worked.
Yeah,
but to be honest, 9 times out of 10, that doesn't work.
My point, Simon, is that I actually didn't agree with Chamberlain going off. I think Aaron Ramsey should have gone off because he was having a tough time of it. I fully support Aaron. I think he'll get back to his best, but he's having a tough time of it. That's understandable. Put your arm around his shoulder, say to him, have a rest, come back stronger next game. He should have gone off the pitch. Chamberlain should have stayed on, in my opinion. Ultimately, Arsenal got the result yesterday. And I'm not saying that it's complete genius. Of course, there's a bit of luck involved and things won't always go your way. But we actually look at the last 3 games. Dortmund, West Brom and Southampton, we haven't played superb football, but we've been actually very pragmatic, and he's actually set us up quite well tactically. We've done what we needed to do.
But Mo, I mean,
clearly,
look at
he has got the ability to grind out these results.
But Mo, I mean, is that not on the back of the terrible start to the season? If you look at
he's called on desperation now. He's having to do this. He's having to do this usual kind of panic thing we do when we're trying to get top 4 place. Like the last 15 games of the season, we go, right, okay, we've actually got to pack up our ideas now and start winning more games 1-0. Why not play like that most of the time? I mean, I don't understand this need to play pretty football all the time. To be honest, I don't think Wenger's that concerned about winning. I don't think he's, well, he probably is, but he just doesn't know how to anymore. Everyone can see. I mean, Monreal at centre back. I mean, Jesus. It's just unbearable. If you're playing Sunday League football, the most basic level, you don't put your short left back and centre back and your tall centre back at right back. It's just the real basics of football. Putting a little centre midfield in defensive midfield, unless you're Claude Makalele, it's not going to work.
I agree with that, Simon.
I don't understand how anyone can trust Wenger to be the man. Like, if all this goes well, and we are in this amazing financial fair play position that you say we are, that's going to be fantastic. But can you see Wenger winning us the league? I don't think, if you're being really true to yourself, you can. No, I don't think anyone can, because he's not going to be able to, because he hasn't got the nous to do it anymore. I mean, even when we've had teams ready, made to go do it, look at the 08-09 season, we had Diarra, Flamini, Song, and Fabregas in our midfield, and Gilberto as well. He sold Diarra at the wrong time. He didn't buy a goalkeeper when everyone knew Almunia wasn't good enough in January. And this happens time and time again. Look at last season, January. I was having the biggest argument on Twitter with, I think it was Tim Stillman or something, that night when the window closed. Because everyone could see. All we needed was a striker in Giroud and a big defensive midfielder. And we would have challenged. I don't necessarily think, I'm not one of these fans who says, we have to win every match, we have to win the league. You know, it's about getting the best out you can. And it's just being able to see that. And I don't think he can see that anymore. I don't think he's been able to see that for a long time. Even in the great teams, when he's built up these amazing teams, he's always lacked having that extra player here and there. I mean, look at
Simon, that's not true. That is not true.
No, it is. So why did we have Pascal
when we went the season unbeaten? We went the season unbeaten.
We did.
What did we lack?
We lacked a backup centre back, and it cost us. We lacked a backup
what did it cost us? It didn't cost us a single game.
Yeah, it did. Champions League.
All right, Champions League. We got mighty close. Let's not forget.
We and FA Cup semi-final. If we'd like that's great. So it was unbelievable back then, but it's still that last ingredient. And he's always been too arrogant, too stubborn just to change it. And it's always been like that. It's always been. And how many times? How many? Keown will always say this, and that Tony Adams talks about it as well. Arsenal should have won so much more when we had that brilliant team, but it's always because he thought he was doing best with players like Igor Stepanovs, Nelson Vivas. Every Arsenal fan didn't want them players in. You want if it was a normal. Here's the weird thing: if we'd had someone alongside Wenger, like an English, I don't know, somebody who'd actually stick up for themselves, English assistant manager, say, look, don't sign Nelson Vivas, just get, I don't know, so like an old aging left back, like a Dennis Irwin back then, I suppose, and it would have just been so different.
Is that Arsenal's fault? Or is that Pat Rice's fault?
Yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't blame Pat Rice. Or, well, to be honest, a lot of people are having to go at Baldy at the moment, our end of the field, because he's not sticking up for himself. But, I don't know. Wenger seems like a pretty hard man to stand up to. I mean, look at the way he reacts with journalists. It's quite scary, actually, the way he's eyes light up.
I don't think we can blame Arsene Wenger for the actions of other people. The fact that there's not a management structure there, the fact that the assistant doesn't stand up to him, that's not Arsene Wenger's fault. He might be a difficult character, but look, you look on the pitch. I think Martinez kicked the ball out of play when he was trying to find, a player from a clearance or a goal kick. He kicked it out of play. Sanchez went mad at him. You just grow a pair. It's not Arsene Wenger's fault if someone doesn't have the balls to stand up to him. David Dean did it. It is possible. It's not that Arsene Wenger is flipping Balotelli and you can't possibly work with him. I can't blame Arsene Wenger for other people not having enough of a spine.
Yeah, but if you have an untouchable era about you, like Wenger does at the club now, he's like beyond everyone now. He wasn't like when David Dean was there, because there was a proper structure in the club. That was a different time. Now he's got a complete dictatorship at the club. I mean, look, fans can't even hold up flyers anymore inside the club of having them ripped off.
That's not Arsene Wenger.
Okay.
That's not Arsene Wenger, is it?
I want to bring it back round to the banner, essentially, and ask, I mean, when is the right time to display such a banner, Mo, in your opinion?
For me, the right time to display a banner is a banner like that, which I don't think is respectful, I don't think it's on personally, but the right time to display a banner like that is at the end of the season. Because what that banner said, if you look at the wording of that banner, that said, it's time to say goodbye. Against West Brom, at this stage of the season, it is not the right time for Arsene Wenger to say goodbye. If you held that banner up at the end of the season, that is the right time to change a manager. where he can actually look at the squad, assess them, meet them, buy his own players, put his own structure in there. That's the right time. Anyone can tell you that. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or a flipping football expert to tell you that. Against West Brom, end of November, that's not the right time to hold out that banner.
Just out of interest, when did Wenger arrive at Arsenal?
God, can't even remember.
Mid-season,
wasn't it?
It was September of '96, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now that was after Bruce Rioch and Stuart Hewson was caretaker manager.
Yep.
Yeah, so Bruce Rioch didn't work because of results. We had to get rid of him. And
yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just wondering when he come in.
Okay,
no,
sure,
I knew.
Yeah, okay. But we don't need to force that now. You know, if that situation arises,
but this isn't
and
something
you have
new.
to deal with it, that's fair enough. You know, what can you do? But it's not desirable. I don't think we should be attempting to put ourselves in that position.
To be honest, I don't think it can get much worse. I mean, I don't know what people want from this banner. It's not. To be honest, as much as we want it to, as fans, I don't think it's going to have much effect. Unfortunately, it's just trying to actually get a statement out there. I think, you know, we're just trying to get some attention, actually get our feelings across.
Well, you've achieved that 100%.
Yeah, well, that makes a change. Yeah, well, not 100%. I mean, you know, the club haven't reacted to it properly. Wenger hasn't reacted to it properly.
But in all, if we're being realistic, that's never going to happen. You're never going to have the club reacting to it too much. There has been a slight reaction. Peter Hill-Wood referred to the dissenters as ignorant people. Arsene Wenger was actually asked about it in a press conference numerous times, and he said no comment, no comment, no comment. It has got to the club. They are aware of it clearly, and there has been a slight reaction from Peter Hill-Wood. But in terms of your mission objective of getting the message out there, communicating your feelings and getting a bit of attention, I think whoever masterminded it is, you know, that's mission complete. That is, you cannot argue. No one can argue whether you're for it or against it, that you have achieved what you set out to achieve. And for that, you can only put your hands up and say, well done.
Yeah, apart from the fact that it's not going to shift him, which is the main aim, obviously. But, you know, I don't know if that's it. Yeah, well, yeah, I to be honest, I think it probably will be impossible, but, you know, it doesn't stop us from thinking it, and, you know, I think it's almost a case of actually making other fans aware there are people, you know, it sounds like some sort of chariot appeal, but you're not alone, because, I mean, there's a lot of unhappy fans, and there's a lot of unhappy fans that don't go to games anymore, and that's the reason they don't go to games, not just because of the way the club's being run, which is a large majority of it, but also the way we're playing, like the way we're actually sent out to play. Well, not just the way we're playing, not the results. I think people get confused with results and like the way we're playing and the way we're set up to play. We're not necessarily set up to win games. We seem to just go out there willy-nilly half the time. I mean, everyone knows Chelsea away. It's just like, it's not even, you know, you might as well just give them the 3 points. Because, I mean, it's so predictable. It's the same for pretty much every top 4 club, to be honest.
Well, Simon, you say a lot of people want change, but, you know, I'm not for 1 second claiming this is completely comprehensive and has got to all of the fan base or anything, but I put out a little poll on Twitter, and 310 people have responded, of which 29 people were for the banner. Now, this isn't, are they for Arsene Wenger as manager or against Arsene Wenger as manager? It's just the banner itself. 29 out of 310. 9.3%. I think there's a clear majority that didn't like the banner. Can you understand the reasons why?
Yes, I can understand completely. Yeah, I can see people, because people are traditional. People don't want, you know, it kind of, I can understand a lot of people thinking that it makes us look less classy and it makes us look like a Newcastle kind of thing.
And also, there's a lot of people that simply just don't want Arsene Wenger out. There's a lot of people that have
there is that. There's a lot of people who are just absolutely blinkered. But
Simon, you know, I would say...
Would you have worded it differently? Would the guys have worded it differently? Did they ever consider wording...
Well, no, well, this is not something new. This is what I'm trying to get across. This flag's been going around for a long time now, so it's the only one we've got.
Yeah. But
it won't be. It won't be. There's a lot more thought being put into future things, and there's going to be a lot more action taken in future after the reaction to this one. So it's not going to stop. When it's going to come out and whatever, that's just organised behind the scenes, and we're not going to start revealing it because of the hassle, of course. But
well, Simon, can I suggest a banner? Can I suggest?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these banners aren't just related at Wenger, by the way. They're going to be sort of attacking more towards the board and actually getting the club back to a kind of situation where he should be, actually get some sort of structure back into the club rather than having a complete dictatorship like we are now.
I'd love to see a banner saying "Bring David Dean back" because
personally, me too. But I don't know about the rest of the boys. But I would love to see David Dean back. But
because that's
not going to happen, though, is it?
Well, you say that, but the only reason it won't happen is because of the board. And I had the pleasure of meeting
Wenger's part of that
recently. No, he's not actually on the board of executives. He's not actually on the board of directors. Sorry, that's not. He's not actually a board member. So the board has the option of bringing David Dean back, and I had the pleasure of meeting David Dean, as did Giles recently. And I asked David Dean, and this is from the horse's mouth himself, if Arsenal wanted you back in some capacity, would you return? And he looked at me with a wry smile and he said, I'm there every single game.
The thing is...
It was very, very clear. He's 100% happy, even at the age of 70, to come back. Now, the difference in that banner, if there was to be one saying, bring back Dean, compared to, thanks for the memories, but it's time to say goodbye, is one is positive, one is respectful, the other one is quite negative and quite disrespectful and patronising. That's the issue that I have with it.
Okay, can I just cut in? I want to respond to the David D thing. I mean, which seems like both sides would love him back. But I went to a discussion, or a Q&A, about a month or two ago with somebody that was very close to, or is very close to David Dean, and was very close to Arsene Wenger. And he said, his supposition was that Danny Fisman, if you know the history between Danny Fisman and David Dean, they fell out quite badly. We don't know why or how they fell out, but Kroenke, we were led to believe that Kroenke made a promise to Danny Fisman that David Dean would never be brought back onto the board. Have my shares, but never ever allow David Dean to come back onto the board. Now, we don't know. I don't know if that's 100% true, but this guy was said to be very close. He's said to be very close with David Dean, and was a neighbour of Arsene Wenger, and they spoke on numerous occasions. So, I don't, whether that's true or not, I'm not sure, but it looks as though that's water under the bridge, and we're never going to go back there by the looks of it. Now, secondly, if I just want to come back to the banner. Simon, you said obviously we know the banner's has done the rounds before. You've got other banners in the process, in progress. Do you guys? The reason why I asked, would you have thought about wording it differently? I mean, did you think about could you have brought out another banner, or will you bring out another banner that might word it differently? I mean,
there will be other banners targeting different things. That's what I was trying to say before. Yeah. I personally, I can't see too much problem with the banner as the one as it is.
That's I was going to say, Mo, if you look at the wording, it's not derogatory, it's not disrespectful. It's actually saying thanks.
It is disrespectful.
It's not. It's compared to others. So compared to others that we've seen, Man United banners, Newcastle banners, and so on and so forth around the country, it's quite soft. It's an opinion.
It's incredibly patronising, and listen. Let's get one thing straight. Let me just get one thing straight.
Go on.
The one thing I want to say, Simon. Yeah, I respect you guys for having the conviction to do something, because I don't think for a second you lot don't want what's for the best of the club. I respect the fact that you're not just sitting there bitching and moaning, and you're actually trying to do something, right? But that banner was very, very patronising, and I think very disrespectful to a man that has done a hell of a lot for our club and has achieved a hell of a lot for our club.
Well, yeah, thank him for it.
He's achieved a hell of a lot, but he's actually set our club up for the next 25, 50 years. He's made us an elite club, and we will enjoy the fruits of his labour in generations to come, under different managers and different players, and our children and probably our children's children will enjoy the work that Arsene Wenger has put into the club. He's probably the most influential man in our history in terms of how he's future-proofed our club. I don't think a man of that stature deserves to be patronised in that respect, because you can pretend all you want that it's saying thank you to him, but come on, it's a very backhanded compliment. It's very, very patronising.
But, I mean, everything you're talking about is pretty much all in the past. All the hard work's been done. If that was it, he could have washed his hands of it donkeys ago. He could have picked us out a new, fresh manager, as someone who's actually going to take the club forwards, rather than clinging on to it like, you know, a long-lost child, he's just purely just verging on desperation. You can see how desperate he gets at times, how when he gets so stressed, he looks fragile. I mean, the bloke's aged he's aged 10 years in the last 5. I mean, it's worrying to see sometimes, actually. It's quite scary.
Was there a consideration of leaving it to the end of the season, Simon? Was that ever considered? There was never considered.
No. I think it just got to a stage where you know, I mean, results got so bad this season. It's kind of the same old. I think everyone's just fed up with it. To be honest, I would say it's like every other season, but in fact, it's worse than every other season so far. You know, I'm not convinced. Mo's saying we're going to finish Champions League and stuff. I'm not convinced that we are. I don't know why everyone takes it for granted that we are. I think you got to look at Liverpool, Manchester United, both challenging. You know, I mean,
I'll go on record right now and say I think we will get Champions League places. I do not think that's good enough for our club. I will never ever aim for 4th. I don't regard it as a trophy. But in terms of completing that project, it's essential. It always is essential, but it's a bare minimum. And that in itself is not good enough.
So why is Wenger settling for that though? Because I mean that's for well good saying his bosses are setting those targets for him, but why is he settling for that? Why is he going, okay, that's good enough, fine, yeah, 4th place, that's what you want, boss, I'm going to give it to you, 4th place, great. Surely he should want more. Surely he should see January, the club's not good, like at the moment, like it's going to be this January window, everyone knows what's going to happen. He's already told us that he's not going to sign a 3rd centre-back because Monreal's good enough, apparently. I mean, it's just absolutely... it just drives me mad. It's just unbearable, to be honest. Every year it's the same.
Simon, is that if Arsene Wenger was to come out in the media and say, we desperately need a centre-back, we will be signing one in January, the price goes up for any centre-back here.
Oh, come on.
Don't pay too much attention.
Oh, gee
Simon, please, don't pay too much attention to anything that Arsene Wenger says in the media, because ultimately, there's been many...
When you say the price goes up...
The bag.
The price goes up. What? They're going to price up every single defender in Europe? I mean, what? That's nonsense.
The fact
but you look at Man City, Chelsea, they pay the extra. If someone says to me, oh, that player's not going to be 10 million anymore, he's actually going to be 15, or you've just upped his price by telling us that you're desperate for a centre-back, I'll go, fine, I'm going to pay 15 million for him.
Yeah, there's a big difference between us and Chelsea and Man City. We're a sustainable club.
But if we paid that extra money for Cahill, for example, think of how different the club would be now. See, that's the lack of ambition we show.
But
Mo,
what I'm saying...
Go on, quickly, because I want to move the discussion on.
Don't take what Arsene Wenger says in the media to heart at all, because he's doing his job, he's playing the game. He cannot be desperate. Price is determined by supply and demand. And if clubs think that there's a massive demand on our part, they're going to squeeze the supply. It's very, very simple. You don't go into a shop and say, I've got £500 to spend, how much is that item there? You keep that sort of thing close to your chest, which is why I slated Gazidis for going on about our financial firepower. Shut up and do your business and tread softly. And I think that's what Arsene Wenger's doing. Right. I hope he buys what we need in January, but I do accept that he hasn't always nailed it in the transfer window, but he needs someone to challenge him in doing that.
Okay, I'd like to just say on this point that whether he says I'm going to buy a defender or a midfielder or a striker, whoever he goes out and buys, everyone knows we've got money. That's the first thing. Second thing is, Mo, would you have had more respect for the banner if it was done at the end of the season?
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, the one thing I have said, as I said, I do respect the fact that they're trying to do something about it. I don't like the banner, but I don't have any animosity or disrespect to the people holding it up. And that's one thing I really want to put across in this podcast. This isn't a witch hunt that, them lot aren't true fans or any rubbish like that. They are true fans. They care about the club, and they have got freedom of speech. The
trouble is, mate, there's a lot of people aren't saying that, unlike you.
Okay, we'll come on to we'll come on to the freedom of speech thing in a minute. But I want to say, the time for me, Simon, my gripe was at the end of the game when the players are coming over to acknowledge the fans, their support, the banner comes out. I mean, people say you can't do it during the game. I suppose it goes down to the question of when in the day can you and should you show it for the most impact.
I mean, we wouldn't have done it during the game because you've got to get behind the scene. Fair enough, it come out after a win, but it was going to come out win, lose, or draw, no matter what.
But I mean, as the players are coming over to congratulate the fans, I mean, if you look at someone like a Borussia Dortmund, they lost last week at our place. The players went over to the fans and congratulated them.
Yeah, after Klopp went over there and made them do it as well. I mean, look at the difference between their manager and us. I mean, I'm not saying I don't personally want Klopp because I think he's a Wenger Mark II, but you look at the difference between Klopp and Wenger Klopp got the Borussia Dortmund players to sign stuff after the game, after they travelled all that way and they lost. I mean, I've travelled to bloody Manchester and watched the lost 8-2, and you don't get anything like that from Arsenal. I mean, I've been AC Milan. I know AC Milan, you're in the gods, but I mean, you just don't get any respect whatsoever. You've barely got one clap. I mean, it's not exactly like Wenger's goes pay respect to the fans. I mean, I think is it only the 8-2 game that we've ever had money sent back to us. Yeah, I can understand people saying, look, it's not great when the players are going over there. I mean, when are you going to do it? Are you going to stay quiet forever? You're not going to show up? At what stage are you going to show up? You know, if we were going to do it that game, no matter what, so, you know, say win, lose or draw, if we'd lost, the players wouldn't have come over. They never do. You'd have got maybe one player, maybe two at best. You know, probably Flamini and Mertesacker, as always. And that would have been about it. And then, you know.
And Koscielny.
Koscielny as well. Yeah, sorry. But, I mean, you know, it's not great, is it?
So does Chamberlain. To be fair
well,
to him.
okay.
He always comes over as well.
So you get the odd few that come over and say thanks. So, you know, I mean, these days of professional football, they don't really expect anything more, to be honest. But, you know, it's up to the manager to install that in these players to actually show a bit more respect to the fans who are paying their wages, or are meant to be paying their wage. Maybe pay, you know, 10% of their wages.
Okay. All right, let's move it on. Last night, was at the game, you know, very professional, 1-0 victory. And, you know, stuff started coming on social media where a guy had a banner that said, "Thank for the memories, answering, I think 3 more years," or something like that, I can't remember.
Let's make some more.
Let's make some more, that's what it was, yeah. And then it now comes down to, it seems like there's some sort of double standards going on with the club. Are we only allowed to show banners that are pro the club and not anti? Can we not show our dissent? You know, we as Arsenal fans are all stakeholders. Paying Arsenal fans are all stakeholders. We should have a right to dissent if we feel the need. Do you agree or do you not agree? I mean, I'll start with you, Simon.
I kind of feel we've lost the right, really. I mean, the way I was treated, especially last night, was incredible. With a few flyers we were handing around. It was just, it's incredible to watch, really. So no, I think we should have, but I don't think we do. I think there's a dictatorship within the club. I think Wenger's very much part of that dictatorship. And I don't think you can really say a bad word against him at a home game. I don't think it's allowed, as far as I can see. There's a lot of old school fans who won't have it. That's fine. I can understand where they're coming from, in they don't want people to disrespect the club. But in the end of the day, when you actually get chatting to them, they think the same as you, a lot of them. And it's, I think it's just we're a traditional club. And as for people showing, you know, flags of support, that's fine and everything. You know, if that's what they think, that's what they think. You wouldn't catch one of us, from the other side of the, perspective, treating people the way they've treated us. And this happens time and time again.
So you're saying that the AKBs, for want of a better word, are the aggressors generally?
Oh, yeah, massively, yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if you try to have a normal conversation with someone, it's like, you know, I won't use the swear words, but why don't you go support Tottenham? You're not a real fan. Why don't you support, you know, whatever? Go do one. Essentially, you're not welcome here anymore. And, yeah, I don't think you'd ever get that from, somebody who wants Wenger out. I think normally they just sort of shake their head and just think, well, what the bloody hell? I know that's what I end up doing, so I just can't bother to argue anymore. It's been going on so I've been probably part of a few who wanted him out for best part of 5-6 years, if not longer.
Mo.
So.
Okay. Mo, what's your take on the whole freedom of speech thing within the stadium and the double standards it seems to have come across?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Giles, that there is a double standard, and one thing that I would say to whoever's listening is that, you know, like or loathe the lads who held up that banner, I think there's a lesson to be learned from the way they approach it, and that is the fact that they're entitled to say whatever they want to say in however they want to say it, and if you disagree with them, you're also entitled to do that. Personally, if I was if I was in front of that banner against West Brom, I would have just got up and started singing "There's only one Arsene Wenger," because I'm entitled to do that. What I wouldn't do is any threats of physical violence or any abuse or any insults, nothing like that. They're entitled to express their views, and I don't think that should be compromised. It's a
to be honest, no one would loathe these, but no one loathe these boys. I mean, they're all Arsenal fans. Have been going for more than 10 years, home and away, Europe, a lot. I mean, most people recognise people in the picture if they go to Arsenal long enough and they know the right people. It's not like a secret band of brothers, really. It's just the real hardcore, to be honest, the people you'll see at Galatasaray probably as well.
But Simon, I mean, my point is the wider Arsenal fans seem to kind of vilify you guys for what you've done. I personally think that there is an entitlement to freedom of speech. You can sing whatever song that you want. Let's not forget, there were people booing Aaron Ramsey when he was having a tough time with it. People booing Aboué, people booing Arshavin. Why aren't they not getting the same sort of treatment?
Well, this is the ironic thing, because
that isn't exactly classy. That's not fair. That's not the right thing to do. That's not the Arsenal way. So I think that people
this is the ironic thing that
and you need to channel any sort of dislike for that banner or for the Arsene Wenger out brigade. You need to channel that into something positive, and that is stand up and sing up for the Arsenal, sing up for the manager. If you're that passionate about it, if you're that concerned about him getting sick, get up off your chair and start singing "There's only one Arsene Wenger," because that's the best way to go about it. Don't turn around and give them lads stick that are actually brave enough to try and do something that, however misguided you think that they are, they're actually brave enough to stand up and try and do something. And let's not get confused about this. In their opinion, however misguided they are, they think it's for the betterment of the club. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. They are Arsenal fans. They pay their money, their hard-earned money, to go and support the club that they want to see win trophies. Let's not pretend they're not Arsenal fans. They are. We just disagree on opinion. But we can still have conflicting opinions in a respectful manner.
Are they misguided, though? Or do you feel misguided? Do you feel that you guys are misguided, Simon? Is that a bit patronising? Do you find that a bit patronising?
Well, yeah, I do. To be honest, I find it quite strange, actually, because I kind of see, like, I mean, everyone's kind of got warped under the Wenger way of thinking. I think there's a lot of, sort of brainwashing going on almost. That's the kind of way we feel. Because the minute you dare to question it, it's like, oh my God, it's this massive reaction. And Wenger's not going to be there forever, he will go, it might be through, his own decision. It might be, it won't be from the board's decision, because, they're happy with him. But it might be ill health, whatever. He's going to go eventually, and people have got to accept that. They've got to come round to it, This is something that's going to happen eventually, one day or the other. I don't understand this massive hurrah. He's just a manager in the end of the day. A lot of teams improve their manager, or see when things aren't quite going right, or isn't getting the maximum out of his team, that they'll swap their manager, and often things can improve.
Can I ask you, Simon, when you saw the Man United fans dissenting, you saw the plane going over Old Trafford and so on, you saw the Newcastle fans, wanting Pardew out or whatever, when you saw the Liverpool fans doing their thing against the owners, did you laugh at them, or did you agree with them? Did you understand? Could you empathise? Or did you think they're a joke?
Well, I think each one's different. I think Man United thought it was hilarious, didn't even give them a chance, I mean, this is taken, how many years of Arsenal being like this to get into one banner rather than the aeroplane flying over. They didn't even really give Moyes a chance, did they? Blackburn in the past, I think they're, I think it comes down to expectations, really.
What about Pardew? He got 8 years.
I'm probably unique, actually, in thinking that Pardew isn't as bad a manager as a lot of people make him out to be.
But could you see the point? I mean,
I can completely.
He got 8-year contract.
I can see more Newcastle fans as well. When you go up there, and I spend quite a lot of time up there when I do go up there, and then you go up there for a couple of nights, whatever, and you get a real feel about the place. He's not the man they want in charge, regardless of the results. I don't think they really give a damn about the results. He's not the man they want in charge. They see it as the Cockney Mafia, so they're entitled to, get him out. But they're not going to achieve it because, it's wider than that. It's about Mike Ashley.
Did you agree with them getting up out of their seats and leaving at 69 minutes or whatever it was last year?
Yeah, why not?
Is it something you guys would consider doing? I mean, knowing that we as fans at home games, we don't like.
I don't think there'd be enough of us, to be honest. I don't think enough people would have the bottle to do it. Plus, I wouldn't want to miss a match. I never leave early.
Okay, Mo,
I've only left one. In fact, ironically, the only time I've ever left early, talking about Newcastle, was at the 4-4, because I could see the way it was going. At 4-2, I thought I've had enough, and I left.
So you could understand.
But I mean, that was extreme.
Right,
I mean,
okay.
I've stayed till the end for 8-2. Man United 5-1 against Spurs.
Okay.
The rest
And the Liverpool fans.
I've been there for all of the bad results.
Liverpool fans are always sort of it seems they're always complaining about something.
Well, Liverpool fans complain about everything, don't they?
Okay. Cool.
Liverpool, the whole area complains about everything. It's one big moan area. As Boris Johnson will tell you.
Okay. Mo, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I just want to say, Giles asked a question about Newcastle fans walking out after 69 minutes, and are you for that or not, Simon? And you said, why not? And I'll answer that question. It's because the players don't deserve to be punished. The players are out there, and they should get the support for 90 minutes. And for me, the one thing I would say is that the 90 minutes are sacred. I've never, ever left the game early in my life. I don't care where it is or how tired I'm going to be. If I have to pull an all-nighter and go to work the next day, it's a choice that I'm making. I'll live with it. I'll never ever leave a movie 10 minutes before because I want to know what happens at the end. A football game is no different.
No, I quite agree. Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't have done the Newcastle stunt myself. I don't think it was probably the right thing to do. I think there's other ways to do it, but I don't think you'll see us doing it anytime soon. Put it that way, but it comes back to this banner.
Is that because there's not enough numbers, or you just don't think it's quite poor taste? Leaving walking out like that.
I just wouldn't want to leave up watching Arsenal. To be honest, as I say, I've only done it once under very extreme circumstances, where I could see the way it was going. I couldn't bear to watch it any longer. So we're 4-2 up at the stage, and I just thought I'm not going to watch this, throw this away, because I knew we were. But
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Just a quick question. You mentioned that there may be other banners. So, a few questions here. The first one, was there any attempt to bring the Arsenal out banner to the Southampton game yesterday?
There's consideration.
You can't bring it in though, can you? You get your bag get checked.
No, I don't think
you would have got in. Would have got in, would it?
Yeah, I don't think it would have got in, because after all, it's a dictatorship at the club, so they wouldn't let us in, bring stuff like that in. But yeah, so that's that one. Yeah, go on.
And will that banner be travelling to Stoke?
I don't know just yet, actually. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, as I say, I don't think anyone is going to be telling anyone when it's going to be coming out or where it's going to be coming out. Because you're having to defend and you're having to tell people not to react like this, but they're not necessarily going to listen to you. So you can see that you can see the reaction that it causes. Well, yeah.
Keep your cards very close to your chest.
Well, yeah. I mean, no one wants to get attacked. I mean, it's a bit like when you go away to White Hart Lane, you get that feeling that you think, shit, the whole world's watching me, and there's bottles being thrown at you as you're being marched down from the police. It's kind of a bit like that feeling, but among your own fans, which is really weird.
So Simon, is there kind of that kind of looking over your shoulder sort of feel about it when you are holding this banner? Is there that kind of consideration of physical damage?
I haven't held the banner. As I say, I've been avoiding the away games for a while now. So I would say there's a allegiance of guys who are doing it at the moment. But just through last night, I was feeling a bit edgy from just handing out a few flyers and stuff afterwards. Yeah, definitely. Especially the way I've been treated by people I've known for a long time as well.
As I said before, even though I disagree with that banner, I think that's probably it's definitely even worse. If anyone was to kind of get into a physical altercation with you as a result of you voicing your opinion, no matter how much they disagree with it, I think that's a bigger crime.
You can watch the threats day in, day out on social media.
Yeah.
And you'll see where they're coming from.
Everyone gets brave behind a keyboard, so...
Well, that's fine, but, people saying I'm going to smash your face in or see that near me, and that kind of stuff. And
that is bang out of order.
You also get that kind of reaction. I mean, we haven't always had it. I mean, I think the boys will tell you at the game at West Brom, I think they got on all right. I don't think there's any animosity whatsoever. Yeah. So I think, because I think this is the difference. I think the away fans, as I say, I think it's 70-30. I think 70% of the Arsenal away fans feel the same way.
Okay. And can you just answer one more question then? Can you give us any indication as to what future banners may have on them, kind of maybe getting at?
Yeah, I said that before. I said I think it's going to be more sort of related to sort of the way the club's being run as a whole structure.
Any particular individuals?
I think, the Americans in general.
So that's going more down the black scarf route.
Yeah, the black scarf, I'm 100% behind what the black scarf movement for. Obviously, the black scarf these days don't talk about Wenger, but they've gone very quiet this season, notice. From what I've seen, everything's gone very quiet, because I think they kind of think, okay, do we sort of up our game, start talking about Wenger as well? Is that the right move? Is it the wrong move? They're probably thinking a bit more tactically than we are.
A bit more political now. Mm-hmm.
Well, they've probably actually got themselves organised, whereas, you guys are kind of thinking this is some sort of like massive organised group, whereas it's just a few lads, to be honest, who all feel the same way.
All right, I want to read a few statements from people that we that tweeted us today. We've got one from Hidayet93, and they say everyone is entitled to their opinion. Hopefully the banner motivates the team to work harder and better for Wenger. Another one here from @Nuri13 says selling top players and still in top four every year. BV, I think Dortmund did the same, and look at how they've crumbled. Klopp out, banner boys. @Midas34 says the fact that one banner like this sparks all this controversy is evidence that there's a disease in the club, and a wider disease throughout Premiership football. @Codfather says the banner should change, would be more respectful and intelligent. What do you say to those responses, Simon?
I don't know where to begin, really. I mean, there's a lot of varied points there. A lot of them I agree with. Do
you agree with the suggestion that it should change, and that change would be more respectful and intelligent?
I still don't understand why people don't think the banner's not respectful. I mean, as far as like, bear in mind we're all quite passionate about this, and there could be a lot more, and there would be a lot more aggressive things sort of said if it wasn't thought about a bit more kindly and respectfully to the manager. I don't think you'd find too many other clubs putting thanks for the memories. So to get trying to get their manager out, would they? I don't think you'd see that. I don't think you'd find any fans in the world react in such a polite way, actually.
Well, let me just reference Borussia Dortmund banner, because, one thing I want to point out is that was our banner saying, thanks for the memories, but it's time to say goodbye. Borussia Dortmund, bottom of the league right now, and I know they haven't been going through what we've been going through for as long, but nonetheless, they're going through a tough time, and their banner was, if you fall, we'll fall with you. That was their banner. And you see that. You see them holding that, and you think to yourself, bloody hell, what a great set of fans. I mean, yeah. I'm not entirely in agreement with the sentiment, because I would rather get something to prevent the fall. I don't want to fall in my club, because I don't want the club to fall at all. But, I do think that Codfather, I think it was, that said the banner could have been a bit more intelligent and the words chosen a bit more wisely. That, from my point of view, and I know who am I to advise anyone, but from my point of view, that would be my feedback. That I think the banner can be more representative of the wider fan base in being worded more carefully.
Yeah, but would it have caused such a reaction? What kind of reaction would that got? I mean, if you asked me what I did before. I used to be a journalist, so I know the way the press react to things. I know how to create attention. No, I didn't create the banner. I'm not saying that. Other people created this banner a long time ago. But if you create some sort of long banner with lots of words on it, it's not going to create any reaction. People are going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's intelligent point.
The Dortmund one proves you wrong, though. That was a very long banner, and it got the reaction. I heard about it in England.
Oh, guys, I'm suffering. I think I might have to go.
Alright.
My throat is not going to live up that much longer.
Okay, alright. I just want to, I suppose we might as well bring it to an end now. Unfortunately, Simon's withering, he's wilting after a very manly and great defence of the guys and the banner. I want to thank you for coming on, Simon.
Cheers.
And for what it's worth, I really hope that, wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we all support the same team, we all want the same result, so whichever way it turns out, let's hope it turns out best for the Arsenal. Indeed. So Simon, I want to thank you and say good night to you.
Alright, cheers.
Take care, mate.
See you later.
I'd like to say as well, Simon, massive credit for having the balls to come up and speak about it and not hiding behind the computer about this, and, massive respect for you to actually come out and have the conviction of saying it and doing it. The other thing that I want to say as well, the fact that you brought the banner out after victory, I'm quite critical of fans having a knee-jerk reaction. That's another thing that I don't think you should be criticised for, is that it was brought out after victory, because ultimately 90 minutes shouldn't you change your opinion from one range to the other. So I can understand why you did that. And I do hope that people are a bit more respectful of your rights to voice your opinion. Thank you very much for coming on.
Take care, Simon. Bye-bye.
Cheers, then. Bye.
Okay, that was Simon Wesson, one of the guys that are involved with the banner display. Mo, let's just quickly wrap up and talk about last night. What did you reckon of yesterday's display?
Well, you know,
from the team, not the fans, the team.
The team, yeah, it was demoralising. It was poor. It was boring, to be honest with you. But ultimately, we are not a team that is brimming with confidence. So I can accept that. You know, I can accept the fact that we dug it out. And the one positive that I'd call out is that we never actually looked that threatened at the back. We looked quite confident. We looked quite comfortable. You know, they had a couple of chances, but, you know, we dealt with vast majority of what they threw at us quite well. In massive amount of that is down to Koscielny's return. But I think, yeah, it was quite uninspiring, but ultimately we are going to have to grind out a few results until we have got that confidence back, and then we can go and start blowing teams away as we want to. So yesterday, not great, but in summary, I'll take that.
I think, yeah, you know, same here. I mean, I'll take that kind of result over a gallant failure or cavalier failure at what we saw at the Vetchfield or Swansea or whatever.
Exactly.
You know, I thought Martinez was very competent in goal. Save for one goal mouth scramble, I think he was protected very well by the back four, and like you said, that was no small part down to Koscielny's return, who I actually thought, I was watching his battle with Pele all game, and at first Pele was getting the better of him, you know, but as the game wore on, he started to get the better of Pele, and I think that really went a long way into sort of like to nullifying Southampton's threat, because a lot of their attacks go through him. He is the focal point of their attacks. You know,
Gee, I'm really, really glad you called that out, because, you know, in recent weeks people have started talking about in-game management a lot more after Jamie Carragher called it out and spoke about it. And yesterday was a classic example of in-game management from a very intelligent defender in Koscielny. In the past, he's been guilty of being quite rash. He's given away a few penalties by diving in. He has really improved that side of his game. And yesterday, in that game, the in-game management that he employed, where he realised that the methods he was employing against Pele or I don't know how you pronounce it, Pela or whatever. It wasn't working at first, and what he decided to do was to step off and get a run on him. You know, he was a bit more physically imposing than Koscielny. Koscielny started to change his style of play against him. In-game management, and he pulled it off brilliantly. By the end of it, he was getting the better of Pele or whatever.
Pele,
you know, more often than not, and I think that's one thing that we often call out when players don't show that in-game management. Important to call it out when they do, and I think Koscielny did it very, very well against Southampton.
The defensive setup as a whole, I mean, not only the back four, but the guys in front of them, they seem to be a lot more compact. I mean, there were a couple of times when, you know, Southampton had a chance to break, I suppose, but, you know, generally we were quite safe, weren't we? Did you think?
Yeah, I think defensively we were brilliant. We really were quite in tune, and we didn't get caught out too many times. There weren't occasions where, you know, it looked really, really dangerous. And I think Arsene Wenger got it tactically right against Southampton. He got it tactically right against West Brom, and he got it tactically right against Borussia Dortmund. These are three games, and where for me personally watching it, I've been able to see the tactics on display. It didn't look like chance or luck. There had been work that had gone in the training ground during the week that you can see. I think the best example of that was against Dortmund, where we Dortmund with our pressing game. And, you know, again, important to call out the good, because Arsene Wenger is responsible for this, and when he gets it wrong, bloody hell, he's responsible. So let's give him the credit he deserves when it works out.
I mean,
and the other player I want to call out as well is Flamini, because I mentioned in the last pod that we did after the West Brom game just how effective he was in terms of his passing, in terms of his ball retention, and against Southampton as well. Superb in terms of his ball retention, and
second game without a yellow.
Yeah, exactly that, and that's what I was going to say. A lot more discipline, a lot more tidy in the way that he's playing the game. And I think last season he was actually very good on the whole. This season so far he hasn't been, but he's getting back to them standards. So, very, very glad to see that. And yeah, no yellow card. That's when you know Flamini's been a good boy.
Quickly, last couple of points. The booing. What did you make of that? Is it just like, we got it wrong? I mean, a lot of fans who booed got it wrong ultimately, didn't they? Because Giroud came on, changed the game, sort of thing, gave us a lot more directness in attack.
But the point is that no one was booing Giroud coming on. People were booing Chamberlain going off, and I think that really is a reflection on how highly we rate Chamberlain. Everyone wanted Giroud on, but I just think there was a better candidate for a sub there than Chamberlain.
But so, Wenger was proved correct, though, wasn't he? He was vindicated for his decision, wasn't he, in the end?
He was. I mean, look, you can only say he was because we got the result. Yeah. But sometimes you can analyse it a little bit more deeply than that, and you can say that, right, fine, we did get the result, but it doesn't mean that decision was actually the correct decision at that time. There is a bit of luck involved in football. I personally don't think it was the correct decision at that time. Luckily for us, it did work out for us. So fine, all we can do at that stage, unless we want to be hypercritical, all we can do now is just say, yeah, fine, Wenger did it. However he did it, even if he got a bit of luck, he did it. But I do think that there could have been a better substitution there, mate.
And finally, Sanchez, not the greatest of games. When you look back at his body of work this season, but he got the winner again. That's 14 in 22 all told, 9 in the Premier League. Best start to an Arsenal career ever. I think Wenger said he can't remember a time when any Arsenal player that he's brought in has started like that. What do you think to that?
Giles, listen, every week on Arsenal Fan TV after the games, I'm waxing lyrical about Sanchez. Everyone knows how I feel about him. I love the bloke. So why don't you cover Sanchez? Why don't you give your opinion on Alexis? I'll ask you the question. Take it away.
They wanted Sanchez, and I can see now why Liverpool wanted Sanchez to replace Suarez, because he's as good. I mean, he's started better than what Suarez did when Suarez came into Liverpool. The sky is the limit with him. He started world class, and I think with every game you see just how much more world class he is. I suppose you could say it was a bit of was it a folly from Barcelona? I don't know, time will tell, but it was a masterstroke getting the boy in. And even when he loses the ball, you forgive him because of his work rate, his effort, his desire to get the ball back, his strength. He doesn't stop going to the final whistle, and he's back. You know what? Every goal has come inside the box. So have we got ourselves the fox in the box that we've been missing?
He's a hell of a lot more as well. I'm not saying that he's not the fox in the box, but he's also a hell of a lot more.
Oh yeah,
and it's just
absolutely.
He's a joy to watch. He really is. He's worth the entrance fee. Just watching him, the amount of work that he puts in, it's phenomenal, and I just absolutely love watching him play. The other thing that I'll say about the game, I was uninspired by Welbeck. There were moments in the game where I thought to myself, if that was an Ian Wright, or if that was an Alan Shearer, or someone with a real poacher's instinct, there were times where they would be putting their head on the line, they'd be getting kicked in the face because they're sensing that if they get their head to that ball first, that's going in. And I just feel as though Welbeck doesn't have that killer instinct. The problem with Welbeck is that either he's consistently average or he's inconsistently good. And he needs to start delivering on a very consistent basis if he wants to cement his place as Arsenal's leading striker. Because right now, for me, since he's come to the club, he's shown glimpses of it, but he's not delivering consistently. And I want him in them positions. I want defenders to be walking off that pitch thinking, bloody hell, he gave me a tough game. And I don't see him bullying defenders like Giroud does, for example. I'm not saying Giroud is the absolute answer, but we need Welbeck to get that killer instinct.
He's learning. He's 24. He's only just learning the striker's role. I mean, he's learning it late, but he's been stuck out on the left wing for all his career, So we've got to give him that bit of time, don't we?
But I would argue, Giles, that when it comes to that position, when it comes to just being an absolute killer in the box, you're kind of more or less born with it. I don't think you can really develop that much. Even with Van Persie, for example, I'd always said that if he has a season with no injury, he will prove to everyone that he is absolutely superb in terms of how clinical he is. And I don't think Welbeck has got that. I'm looking forward to when Henry comes to the club as a coach, because hopefully learning from someone like Thierry will have a massive impact on Danny, because he has got a lot of attributes that you need in order to be a great goal scorer. But right now, I don't see that killer instinct. So I do expect more from him, and I want to see more from him.
Indeed, I mean, my point is, and I'll go back to it, is that, you know, he's been stuck out on the wing for so long. He's come into the central striking position at the age of 23. Van Persie come to the club young. I don't think anybody could envisage that he'd have the sort of season that he had before he left us. Even with all that skill and flair and attitude that he had, I didn't see early on in his Arsenal career. Henry going to Juventus, playing at Monaco. We didn't know he was going to turn out to be, a three-time top goal scorer in the Premier League and multiple championship winning player. We couldn't envisage that. But they came in younger. Unfortunately for Danny, he's starting 3 years later than them. We can only but hope that things will go better. I'm going to give him a chance. I think there's a lot of good coming from him. I see in him. I think it just needs that extra training ground sessions after, as Ian Wright used to do, every day after training. Stay behind. Keep the goalkeeper in the nets and work at it. Because I think sometimes your first touch sets you up or lets you down. And too often in those positions, either his body shape's not right, his first touch lets him down. I think he needs to get that right. I'm not an expert, but that's what I reckon. That's what I see. And I think once he does that, once he gets that right, you know, the sky's the limit for him. I don't know if he's going to be a club legends goal scorer like Wrighty and Henry, but I'm going to give him time. That's my...
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'll give him time and I'll back him because, you know, he's wearing the Arsenal shirt and I don't care who you are. If you put on that shirt, I'll support you. But I am sceptical as to whether he will ever be that 30-goal-a-season striker for us. I personally think either you have that killer instinct or you don't, regardless of where you play. And a perfect example of that would be someone like Thomas Müller. He's not a centre-forward, but he just has that killer instinct. Even like a Perez, a Sanchez, obviously, they've got that killer instinct where they just know where to be. Someone like even a Frank Lampard, they just know where to be. And I'm yet to see that in Welbeck. And, you know, for me personally, if I could buy shares in him and his finishing ability, I wouldn't buy them shares. I wouldn't expect a massive return. I just think that he's not consistent enough. But, you know, let's hope that he proves me wrong and he can develop that consistency and that killer instinct.
If you're buying shares for short-term game, it's not an investment. Remember that, Mo. You buy shares for a long-term investment. Remember that.
I'll support him in the long term, but I'm not sure he'll deliver.
Yeah, we'll see. We will.
Yeah.
All right, mate. So, thanks for coming on. It's been a great discussion. I hope the listeners, thought the same too. I don't know if it's changed your opinions, whether you're for the banner or against the banner, whether you want to see more of that sort of stuff at grounds or away grounds, or you want to see a stop to it. We'll leave that for you. Please leave your comments when you tweet us your comments, and we're very grateful for you to tune in. All right, so that's been Giles and Mo and another Arsenal Fan TV podcast special. Join us again.
Before you go, Giles.
Go ahead.
Before you go.
Yep.
Prediction for Stoke.
Prediction for Stoke. Whoa! I tell you what, that's a tough one because, boy, Stoke. We've only won once in the Premier League era at Stoke, and that was the day of that afternoon when Aaron Ramsey got that tackle. That's the only time we beat them in the Premier League era. We've got, I think the last 4 games is a 2 losses or 3 losses and a draw, or 2 draws or something like that. So our record there is not good. I know Mark Sparky Hughes has made them more footballing too, so I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going for a draw. I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
I'm going for another 1-0 Arsenal win. But the really, really key point, and let's just cover this really quickly, with Ramsey's form and his history with Stoke, is this a brilliant opportunity for him to have an inspired performance?
Absolutely.
Or is it a case of protect him and take him out?
You've got to play him. If you take him off, if you keep him out of the line, if you stick him on the bench, it's going to affect his confidence. He'll want to show that he's over it. I don't think he likes people continually going on about it, despite what Stoke City Hawks think. I think he wants to just get on with his game. Wouldn't it be a great game for him to actually return to form? Because he's been, for want of a better word, shit this season generally, hasn't he? I mean, his passing's been off and one. His desire's there, but right. He's not really had. I know he's scoring goals early in the season, but he's not really reached the heights of last season. Now people are saying that it was a one-season wonder. Wouldn't this be the game with all the connotations and the history behind it? Wouldn't this be the game to sort of like start to shove those kind of opinions back down the doubters?
But then how damaging would it be if he comes on against Stoke with that massive desire and he has a shocker? Would that not be damaging to his confidence?
As long as we get a result, because it's a team, I don't mind. If we lose and then all eyes are on him, then yeah, I worry. But
I think this one is for the listeners. I think if we get everyone to tweet Arsenal Fan TV podcast and let us know, would you put him in the starting lineup? Would you put him on the bench? Would you take him out altogether? How would you use Ramsey this weekend against Stoke? Because for me, I think this is a massive, massive decision that Arsene Wenger is going to have to take. And for me personally, I would actually put him on the bench. I'd put my arm around him and say to him, listen, we're going to put you on. You're going to be the one to make the difference in this game. But I'd actually protect him from the offset and bring him on with a massive point to prove. Do you agree with Giles? Do you agree with me? I really want to know what people think about this one.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you again, Mo. We'll speak to you soon. All right, mate.
Cool. Thank you very much, mate.
All right. Cheers. Take care. And that's been an Arsenal Fan TV podcast special. Thank you and goodbye.